Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. You ever heard that phrase before? Where basically it's talking about how when a woman is scorned, meaning she is angry because she has been hurt. Scorned, to scorn a person, is to intentionally, with malice intent, harm and hurt someone else. Now, there is a difference between a woman that is scorned and a woman that is just plain bitter. And a lot of times we mistake the two and feel like they overlap, but no. A woman that has been scorned, she is angry at the person or people that have hurt her, harmed her, traumatized her, put her through horrific actions, abused her. That is when a woman is scorned, and she is angry at those people. She could be angry at those people, but not necessarily give that energy and that anger to everybody else. Like, she doesn't give it to innocent people. She doesn't give that to people that she does not know. She doesn't just go around giving that negative, nasty energy to everybody that she comes across. When she's going to the grocery store, or she's in a department store, or, she's just in any type of public setting, she doesn't just give that nasty energy to everybody, because these are complete strangers, people that she doesn't even know, people that have not done anything to her. So she realizes, what's the point of me giving all that energy to them when they haven't done anything to me? I'm not mad at them. They're not the villain. They're not my enemies. She also, especially, doesn't harm children, and she doesn't harm the elderly. Okay? She doesn't go out and start inflicting. Okay, let me just pause for a second. She doesn't harm children, and she doesn't harm the elderly, because children and the elderly are very, very precious. They are very gentle. They're pretty much, children and the elderly are just as pure, just as innocent. At times they're very fragile. They're very sensitive. It's like the same way that you wouldn't hurt a child because they're so little. They're so tiny. They're so, like, you can have so much power over them because you're bigger in size, bigger in strength. You don't want to hurt children because that's abusing your power and strength. And you also don't want to abuse the elderly, because even though they may be a full-fledged and their full adult body, their adult body is not as strong anymore. It's a lot more fragile, especially when, like, that's why it's very scary when the elderly can fall, because they can really hurt themselves. They could break bones. They could, really damage themselves. And there have been so many times where people have, like, elderly have actually passed away because of a fall, versus, like, if they were like 20 or 30 years younger, if they would have fallen, they would have been perfectly fine. But the older you get, the more difficult it is. Their ligaments don't work the same anymore. They have to walk with canes. They have to, walk with walkers, or they have to sit in a wheelchair, whatever the case is, because their body is not the same anymore. And when they get older, their body is a lot more fragile, and you have to be careful with them. So that's the same way. You won't harm the elderly because they don't have as much strength as they used to. They don't have that same strength anymore. And for a person to take advantage of a person that is elderly, that's an abuse of power and abuse of strength. Because when you are younger, you have more energy, you have more strength, you have a lot more power. So yeah, you won't go harm innocent people like the elderly or children. Especially, you won't go out there just hurting other people that you come across, like just hurting your peers or colleagues or whatever, because these people haven't done anything to you. So why give that same energy to innocent people that you don't know, that haven't done anything to you? Why give them the same energy that was given to you to innocent people? Don't do that. When a woman is scorned, she's selective on who she gives that energy to. She's not going to give it to the innocent. She's only going to give that energy towards the person or people that she is upset with, the people that have traumatized her, the people that have abused her. She only directs that energy towards her abusers, her aggressors, her assaulters. For as I say that. But when a woman is bitter, when she is just bitter, she gives that nasty energy towards everybody. Okay. And the thing is, it's kind of like a woman scorned and a woman that is bitter is like two sides of a coin. Because a woman that is bitter, she also is a woman scorned. She has been hurt in her life. She has been abused. She has been traumatized. She has gone through a lot of horrific things. She probably has been through abuse in her past from like her family, or maybe she was in a very abusive relationship, maybe she was in a very abusive marriage, maybe she dealt with a lot of nasty friends, maybe she dealt with a lot of just mean manipulative abusive bosses, maybe she just struggled with employment, maybe she's had things where people have just taken advantage of her, exploited her, or used her, or scammed her, or just maybe she's been physically beat, maybe she's been, sexually assaulted. Whatever the case is, when a woman has been scorned and she's hurt and she's angry, when you see a woman that is very angry, it's because she's been hurt. Because anger is just masked hurt. But here is where there's a difference, is that a woman that is bitter, she did not take the time to deal with the hurt. She did not take the time to actually process that energy, process that pain, and deal with everything that has happened. And instead of her directing that energy towards the people that have abused her, her aggressors, her assaulters, her abusers, instead of her giving that energy towards the people that actually have hurt her, she instead gives that energy to everybody, because she has been scorned. Now she is just mad at the world. So she'll do things like she'll be very mean and nasty to children, because with children you can have more power over them because they're younger, they're smaller, they don't you always have like a physical advantage over them. You have a power advantage over them because the age difference, respect your elders or respect adults. You have that over them. They also have a way where children are not as knowledgeable, they're not as wise as adults, because they're children, they're just getting to learn. They're not like, children are not as mature as adults because they're children, they're learning. Sometimes they haven't even, especially children that haven't even gone through puberty yet, like they're just learning, they're just getting here with life. And then also to Okay, one more thing about the children. She does that to children because she wants to feel power. She wants to feel in control. She wants to be able to direct that energy towards people that can't give that energy back to her. That's why a lot of bitter women are very abusive towards children. And also, they do the same thing to the elderly because, like I mentioned earlier, that the elderly, they're more fragile. They don't have as much strength. They don't have as much power as they used to. So she's taking advantage of that. Taking advantage of people that are just weaker than her, really, is what it is. Because a person that is elderly, they could have been strong at some point in time when they were younger. But once they hit, like 70 and up, it's different now. They don't have the same strength as they used to. You know what I'm saying? So also, a woman that is bitter, she's going to give that energy towards just everybody that she comes across. People that she meets in the grocery store, people that she sees in the nail salon or the hair salon, or just people that she sees in the department store, people in the library, just any person that she comes across in a public setting. She is just nasty towards them because she's mad at the world, and she feels like it's like she just has this perspective that every person that she's going to come across is going to hurt her and be mean to her and dislikes her and hates her. So she has this flawed view of the world. So she'll like hurt others before they can hurt her. That is when a person has a very flawed perception of life because they have not dealt with their issues. And a lot of that deals with when a woman becomes bitter is because she lacks a lot of self-love. She doesn't have enough self-love to combat all of that pain. And because she lacks love in her heart, it's harder for her to love herself, and it's harder for her to love thy neighbor. And then most importantly, she doesn't have a very strong relationship with God. Because when you have a relationship with God, the Holy Spirit lives within you, and God is love. So love exists in your heart, love exists in your soul, and you exude that just through your energy. When she doesn't have a relationship with God, she doesn't have the Holy Spirit living within her. She doesn't have, love in her heart, love in her soul. All she has is bitterness. All she has is hatred. All she has is coldness, meanness, and that's exactly what she exudes, because you can only give what is in your heart. A person that has been scorned can still have love in their heart, but a person that is bitter has no love in their hearts. They're cold.